How much to save? Most people looking at their first home fixate on one number, the down payment. They save toward it for years, hit it, and feel ready. Then they sit at the closing table and find out the down payment was never the whole number. You probably think that if you have 3 or 5% saved, you're set. That's the assumption nearly every first-time buyer walks in with. Here's the thing. On a $350,000 home, the cash you actually need before you get the keys can run between $30,000 and $40,000, even if your loan program only requires a small down payment. That gap comes from 3 buckets the listing never mentions: closing costs, which typically run 2 to 5% of the purchase price; reserves, which are funds your lender may require you to keep liquid after closing; and immediate move-in expenses, the ones you don't think about until you're standing in an empty house with no washer and a broken water heater. None of those 3 numbers appear on Zillow. The total cash figure is the only number that actually matters, and it's almost always bigger than the one you've been saving toward. Credit score. It's the number everyone has and almost nobody fully understands. It sits in a credit monitoring app on your phone. It goes up and down for reasons that feel arbitrary, and most people treat it like a pass-fail test. Everyone assumes the credit score question is binary. High enough, you qualify. Not high enough, you don't. Here's the part that matters. Different loan types use different minimum floors. An FHA loan, a government-backed mortgage designed for buyers with lower credit, accepts a score as low as 580. A conventional loan, which is a standard non-government mortgage, typically starts at 620. A VA loan, available to eligible veterans and active-duty military, has no hard minimum set by the government at all. But the floor isn't the real issue. The real issue is what your score does to your rate. An 80-point difference in credit score can shift your interest rate by nearly 1 full percentage point on a conventional loan. On a $350,000 mortgage over 30 years, that's close to $100,000 in extra interest paid. You don't just need a score that qualifies you. You need a score that doesn't cost you $100,000. Affordability. The bank will tell you how much house you can afford. You should not take that number at face value. Most people assume that if a lender approves them for a certain loan amount, that amount is actually affordable. After all, they ran the numbers. They're the professionals. Here's what nobody tells you. Lenders use a formula called the 28-36 rule to calculate their ceiling. 28% of your gross monthly income, that's your income before taxes, can go toward housing costs. 36% of your gross monthly income is the cap on all debt combined, including car payments, student loans, and credit cards. The bank approves you up to that line, but your gross income is not what you bring home. After taxes, retirement contributions, and health insurance, your take-home pay can be 30 to 40% lower than the number the lender used. The bank's approval math works on paper. Your grocery budget works on what actually hits your checking account. A lender approval is a legal limit. It is not a lifestyle recommendation. Closing costs. You find the house. You agree on a price. You think the hard financial part is over. It isn't. Most people assume that when they've saved their down payment, they've saved what they need to buy the house. The listing price minus your loan equals the check you write. That's the mental model almost everyone carries. Here's the part most people miss. Every mortgage comes with closing costs, a set of fees due on the day you sign. They include lender fees, which cover the cost of underwriting and processing your loan, title insurance, which protects you and your lender if someone later challenges your legal ownership of the property, and prepaid items like property taxes and homeowners insurance that must be funded up front. Together, these typically run between 2 and 5% of the purchase price. On a $350,000 home, that's $7,000 to $17,500 due at the closing table on top of your down payment. You can sometimes negotiate for seller concessions, money the seller agrees to contribute toward your closing costs, but that depends on the market and the contract. Closing costs are not a surprise that happens to some buyers. They happen to every buyer. Down payment. 20%. You've heard that number your entire adult life. You probably have a savings goal built around it. Most people believe 20% is the legal requirement. That without it, you simply cannot get a mortgage. Some have delayed buying for years waiting to reach that number. Here's where it gets interesting. 20% is not a law. It's a threshold. Conventional loans, standard non-government mortgages, can go as low as 3% down. FHA loans require 3.5%. VA loans, available to qualifying veterans and service members, require 0 down payment. USDA loans, designed for buyers in eligible rural areas, are also 0 down for buyers who meet income limits. The reason 20% became the cultural standard is PMI, private mortgage insurance. PMI is a monthly premium your lender charges when your down payment is below 20% to protect them if you default on the loan. It typically runs between 0.5 and 1.5% of the loan amount annually. On a $300,000 loan, that's up to $4,500 per year. 20% eliminates PMI. It does not unlock homeownership. You've probably been waiting for a threshold that was never required. Monthly payment. You open Zillow. You find a house. Right there under the price, there's an estimated monthly payment. You do the math in your head and think you can make it work. Most people treat that Zillow number as the real monthly cost. It's the figure they run against their income. It's the figure they text their partner. It's the number they mentally rehearse. Here's the thing. That number is principal and interest only. Principal is the portion of your payment that reduces what you owe on the loan. Interest is the fee the lender charges for lending you the money. Those two things together are what Zillow shows you. What Zillow does not show you is property taxes, the annual tax assessed on your home, typically collected monthly through your mortgage payment. It doesn't show homeowners insurance, required by every lender, collected the same way. It doesn't show PMI if your down payment is under 20%. And it doesn't show HOA fees, monthly dues charged by a homeowners association if the property is part of one. On a typical purchase, adding those 4 items pushes the real monthly cost $300 to $700 above the listing calculator. The number that determines whether you can afford the mortgage is not the number Zillow shows you. Reserves. After the down payment, after the closing costs, your lender may require that you still have money left. Most people assume that once they've cleared the down payment and closing costs, any remaining savings are theirs to use however they want, moving truck, new furniture, whatever comes next. Here's what nobody tells you. Many loan programs require reserves, liquid savings that must remain in your bank account after closing. The standard range is 2 to 6 months of full mortgage payments, sitting untouched and verifiable. Not a recommendation, not friendly advice, a condition of loan approval. If your lender requires 3 months of reserves and your monthly payment including taxes and insurance is $2,000, that's $6,000 that cannot be spent on closing costs, cannot be gifted from a family member in some loan programs, and cannot come from a retirement account without penalty. Reserves exist because your lender wants evidence you could survive a job loss or medical bill without immediately defaulting. For buyers who stretch to meet the down payment and closing costs, reserves can be the requirement that stops the loan. You can close with everything accounted for and still lose the loan because you have nothing left over. Student loans. You've been making payments for years, or you've been in deferment hoping to think about it later. Either way, you assume your student debt is your business, separate from the mortgage question. Most people believe that as long as they're current on their loans or their loans aren't actively due, the lender won't factor them heavily into the mortgage math. Here's the part that matters. Lenders calculate something called your DTI, debt-to-income ratio, which is the percentage of your gross monthly income that goes toward all monthly debt payments. The higher your DTI, the less mortgage you qualify for. Student loans count toward that ratio regardless of whether they feel manageable to you. Here's where it gets precise. If your student loans are in deferment, meaning payments are temporarily paused, your lender typically doesn't use 0 as the monthly obligation. They use 1% of your outstanding balance. If you have $80,000 in deferred loans, the lender treats that as $800 per month in debt, even if you're not currently paying a single dollar. On a conventional loan, that $800 reduces your maximum mortgage qualification by roughly $140,000. Your deferred loans are already in the lender's math. They just haven't told you yet. Pre-approval, you get the letter. It has your name on it, a loan amount, a lender's signature. You feel ready. That letter is not what you think it is. Everyone treats a pre-approval like a green light, a guarantee. Proof that the financing is settled and the only thing left is finding the right house. Here's the part most people miss. A pre-approval is a conditional opinion based on a snapshot of your finances at one point in time. The lender reviewed your income, your credit, and your assets and determined that, if nothing changes, you appear to qualify for that amount. But between pre-approval and the closing table, the lender verifies everything again. Not approximately. Everything. During that verification window, several things can unravel the loan. Opening a new credit card drops your credit score. Switching jobs, even for higher pay, triggers income verification delays. A home appraisal that comes in below the purchase price can leave you short on the numbers. Any of these, after you've gone under contract, after you've paid for the inspection, after you've given notice to your landlord, can kill the deal. A pre-approval letter tells you what you might qualify for today. It is not a promise about what happens in 60 days. Loan types. 4 options. Most buyers know one of them and pick it by default. Most people assume there's basically one kind of mortgage and the differences are just minor details about interest rates and paperwork. They go with whatever their lender first suggests and assume the others probably weren't for them. Here's the part that matters. These are 4 fundamentally different products with different costs, different requirements, and different long-term consequences. FHA loans, backed by the Federal Housing Administration, accept lower credit scores and down payments as low as 3.5%, which makes them accessible. The trade-off is that they carry mortgage insurance for the life of the loan, not just until you hit 20% equity like a conventional loan. That cost doesn't go away. Conventional loans reward stronger credit. Private mortgage insurance, PMI, cancels automatically once you reach 20% equity in the home. For buyers who qualify, this makes it cheaper over time. VA loans, available to eligible veterans, active duty service members, and surviving spouses, require no down payment and no mortgage insurance. They are, for buyers who qualify, the best financial product in the American mortgage market. Full stop. USDA loans offer zero down for buyers in eligible rural areas who meet income limits. Most buyers have never heard of them. The loan type you choose is not a formality. It is a financial decision you will pay for or benefit from every single month for 30 years.